being a pastor's wife is more being a servant to the church. You are the one who serves the church more than the church serves you as Mam Mfundisi. You just starting with prayer, you are the one who should be there praying for everyone, praying for the personal growth and the prosperity, because the prosperity of personal prosperity is the prosperity of the church. So it's upon your shoulders to be praying for them, to pray for them and advise them. And there are a lot of challenges obhekana now, because ziningi izimpizo and izimpizo that your husband faces zi-attack nabo, and most of the time ziqala ishaye kuwe as umama mfundisi izimpizo. Ngihlezi ngisho ngithi advisor kwamafundisi abasashada ngithi one thing that you need to learn to do is to not ungacabanga ukuthi abazalwane bayakweleta ukuthanda. Abazalwane abakweleta ukuthanda as umama mfundisi. Umuntu abamthandayo nabamaziyo umfundisi wabo. Wena they accept you and tolerate you because of umfundisi wabo. So if you do get uthando lwabo ne-respect yabo, praise God, glory to him, hallelujah. But mawungalitholi futhi, don't demand it, don't have the attitude vela bakweleti lutho. You are there because bona bazi umfundisi wabo. Wena nje khonza, you are there to serve them with a smile. Noma ngabe bakushebile ngalelo langa, noma ngabe awushejwanga, serve them with a smile. That's what you are here for. Never uziphathe njengomuntu la first lady ngoba kuba buhlungu masefana udelete isihlalweni sa first lady. Ziphathe njengomzalwane, be a member of the church. Be tholakala ulingana nabo, ufane nabo. If bekuphakamisa bona uNkulunkulu evukile ukuthi baphakamisa, then it's okay, glory to God. But ungaqala uyiphakamise wena. Being a Mam Mfundisi is nje isihlalo sokuseva. That's where you serve, because uzokuhlala ebusuku basibehlela nabayeni babo abanye wakhe akekho, uyoshumayela somewhere, unohambe nabazalwane othandaza, if awuhambanga abanye abantwana ubabaye akekho, if that day yami in you have to take care of the children, console them, their father is not there, busy with ministry things. Awukwazi ukukhala kanye nabo. You're the one who needs to be their strength at all times, because i-ministry inezinto eziningi ukuhamba njalo. Even sometimes ngama-dates are important to you as a family. You might not be around. So those are all the things that you have to face. Abanye bazokuvukela bamelane naye. You need to be careful ukuthi ungagcini usumzalwane onenzondo, uzonda abantu who are taking your husband. Be understanding ukuthi izimpizo mina okwami ukuthi ngimsupporte, ngimlekelele, ngingabi ne-bitterness because izimpizo lomuntu yabantu. So being a Mam Mfundisi is very tough. It needs a lot of wisdom, if I can put it that way. It needs a lot of wisdom from the Lord. There's a lot of things. Ezinye izinto bayiqala kahle abazalwane, like zona lezi zinto zoba first lady nani. Zoqalwa kahle umzalwane thizeni ufuna ukukhombisa ukuthi uyamrespect unomfundisi nani. But sigcine sese if we are not wise enough, sigcine seziyekhanda, sesizidemanda, sesizi-expect, nathi sesizibona singcono kunabazalwane. And asikho ngcono. We are there to serve them. We are there. Uthi Jesu ofuna ukuba mkhulu uyena umele aseve. Akabe kuncane akhonza abanye. As a Mam Mfundisi, you are the servant of the church.
Mama, if you're saying you're a servant of the church now, how do you strike a balance of saying, I'm not called for everything in the church. Like I'm not gonna be everything, because we can stretch you guys. And you need to be at a point where you are contented. No, but you know what? Your first lady, I agree, but this. Women's ministry doing me. If your heart is not within that, teenagers, your heart could be in Sunday school. You are not really called for how do you stand firm without pressure? You have to
do it. I think in the leadership of anything, you need wisdom. Wisdom, and you have being as I said, ukuba wise enough ukwazi ukulead abantu, delegate ngendlela right. Yes, because there's a difference between delegation and ukuba bossy. Be able to delegate, be able to recognize ama gifts abanye abantu. That's the only thing that helps you as a mom, so that you have that eye to recognize and umama usibani noma usisi usibani unayo le gift yokwazi ukuplana izinto, uyi-organize right, uyakwazi uku-organize izinto. Even if you have a plan, you don't have to gijima nayo from start to end. Kwazi uku-recognize abantu ukuthi okay, we-delegate usibani bani uyena ozonakekela amagesi, usibani bani uyena ozokwenza ukuthi, usibani bani uyena ozokwenza ukuthi. Mina, I'm not strong maybe in that area, but identify someone within the church who is strong in that area. Uma sazana ukuthi okay, ubani ukuthi la ubani ukuthi, then we are able to support each other, you know.
But rejection, Mama, is not easy. I can hear you saying it very lightly here, Guti. They don't owe you tanda. But in reality, rejection is not easy, right? It's not nice.
No, it's not nice. It's not
nice to be rejected.
I think not expecting them to
less
love
of expectation.
You. Yes, ukulimita expectations wakho kukusiza ukuthi ungalimali kakhulu. Because uma ufika khona le ngqondo ozokufika nayo ngiyakhumbula nje nami ngisandosha ufika nale ngqondo esisho ukubona mangabe sengisho ngathi nawo but khona le nto ukuthi mangabe usa engaged ukuphakamisa uzoshada abazalwane bayathanda bakunika attention bonke nabasemzini but as soon as ushada ama-tables attend like immediately. Sekuwena manje sekufanele ubanikezele uthando, ubanikezele attention. It's like vele ulahle nje in the deep end kade unikeze affection eningi. So nalento yokushe uma usanda ukushada nomfundisi iba khona le affection oyinikezwa abazalwane eningi, but as time goes on but it's the right guy again. So lento ukuthi mosathola ubanale ama expectations, it's okay, sekufanele ngiphathele ikhwama, sekufanele ngibone isihlalo, sekufanele ngithini. But when you deal with your own expectations and leave some room for disappointment now and then kuyakusiza lokho ukuthi noma ifika i-rejection because izofika ukwazi ukuthanda yikho konke abantu awuyona mali. So if you have worked out some expectations right, you are able to do everything. And just to live yonke into uNkulunkulu, mina I always base all of my relationships, I leave them to God. You see, when I go how it's going to go, how I'm going to be received, everything will be ezandleni zakho. Because sometimes God can turn abantu around. Uma uya ngenhliziyo, do not be personal when dealing with abazalwane. Abanye basuke bengazi ukuthi the devil is using them to block certain things. They are not aware, they don't know. But if you are going to base yonke into uyakwazi ukubona ukuthi sasane wenze ngamabomu ukuthi ngingazwani nalo mama ngoba if bengizwana naye bekuzoba nale mpumelelo, this project ibizoba ne-breakthrough enje if besibambisene naye. So wenza kusasane ukuthi kube uyena opposer number 1 so that le nto ingaphumeleli. If you do have the wisdom of looking at things through the eye of God, ayona yonke rejection ekabuhlungu kubo uyayazi ukuthi fanele ngiyoyilwa ngithandaze.
Wow. Wow, because I know which it's not. And I hear rejection, I feel like ordinary.
No.
To take it in and to still come with a smile at the end of the day and to still stand and serve the church with so much every bit with the bitterness. Okay, yeah, then the 2020 basis of me and then you cash back and you get because there are times where this thing is addressed to somebody, but it's just that it's a pity. But this pity is clear; it's going somewhere. Do you find yourself tempted to do that times? Like it's repeat. I guess like in the first
the Lord dealt with me very early. I think before even I started preaching. I think coming from Ilendo, I am reserved, so a lot of people used to misunderstand me, and as this will be figure again. And then uNkulunkulu wadila nami very early. How do I deal with rejection or people misunderstanding you? So even I remember at one point there was a challenge icona. And like being reserved, I don't have a friend or a close friend, and so these things of vent abubani.
Okay.
I went to my husband, everything I went to him. So I was ready to smile. I'm not gonna tell him this. How can what took this thing in was because this same person also vent guy, also vent guy, abazalwane amaphabu wabo abashumayezi are taking you in this way and that way and that way. Fanele avuke futhi ayomaphambi wabo abashumayezi with inhliziyo ephukile because they are taking his wife akamthandayo. Uma seba discipline epulpit ukuthi because as soon as ethi unkosikazi wami lo phumani kunkosikazi wami, already they close their hearts. Already inhliziyo zabo sebeyivalile ezwini noma ngabe izwi lizobanceda in some way ngeke besalizwa ngeke sapenetrate izwi ngoba usefike waqala wadefenda wena epulpit. Learn to fight your own battles without involving the man of God who stands in front of the church. So I was taught through ministry before my ministry even started. So the Lord really.
That's heavy. So you have to keep it to yourself.
And I have to deal with it since I've been but now and then I love God because God is oh my God. Also found someone at that time willing body minds, oh, this is the person and then I'm able to offload to that person and then we pray about it and then I move on. As music domina, I tell myself for me to be okay spiritually and the support that he needs. Unezinto ekumele ngizi-avoid, unezinto ekumele ngingayibuzo ngoba zizofike zingilimazi. Kuba in our church we usually have ama-gatherings where i-leadership ihlangana khona bafundise everyone nebandla. So I try to avoid, unless umangcwele say I attend this one, I try to avoid that because that's where kuzobe kukhulunywa ubone ubhuti omncane ekhuluma nje addressing your husband nje hayibo ukhuluma nomyeni wami lo kanje, and then you end up. So I try to avoid such things. It's okay so that I can mayebuya yena lapho elimele akangitholi mina ngiphila so this wazi ilisha yena singafiki isilibele sonke. So we maneuver as the spirit leads.
Mommy, how do you balance the relationship? How do you balance abantwana, umsebenzi, calling, umshado? How do you, because sometimes abantwana bayasalela uma bazali bebisiwe and uthola abantwana ukuthi they have so much resentment towards my mom and I call it home and when I closely look into uba ngumuntu obiziwe nolida ibandla ubeningane, I was like, I don't wish abantwana babe ngomuntu obiziwe. I really don't want abantwana bakhule in such setting because there's so much that they experience directly so. And it's not an easy thing. How do you make sure not protect them but and they know what yes, but this is my mom. This is my mother.
It's not easy. It's not an easy thing, but sisters are important. Okunye sikufunda ukuthi okay lapha yamkhetha. Yes, and then as we go sihamba pick up izinto but akusinto elula mina ke I'm raising 2 girls and they are very jealous.
I don't know no girl who's not jealous though. In all honesty, I'm but I don't know any girl who's not jealous.
Yeah, I always see my comments out say manje uma wakho nje avesengithanda mama wakhe bush wakhe begqoka hayibo this is my mother.
Yeah. This is my mother.
But the one thing that we involve them in ministry because the one thing events are feeling they left out is if they're not involved in ministry. So even when we are grooming or seeing in Torisha or Sisabatile, I make them part of the family now, but build the relationship now, so that when I say this is your sister, truly usister wakhe. And uma ngizohamba if wherever ngiyoshumayela i-environment engiyabuya bavumele ukuthi babe khona, I take them kube bona bangiphelezelayo instead of taking someone else. Recently I went to the women's seminar at the St. So I took my daughter along to carry with me, and then we went there. That experience to be with me in ministry, we are not under society and all of that stuff, it makes her feel involved. And I talk to them a lot. I talk to them, especially with my expectations that are on them as incoming. So
they have to be perfect. You want them to be perfect. Yes. You don't want no mistake that they do. Like they should.
So I talk to them a lot, and then I always encourage them to find themselves, find their identity, know who they are. Before you do anything to please someone, know who you are. Because ngibatshela ukuthi ezinye izinto fine uzozenza because abazalwane bazobhekuka lapho, but ithi uzenza for the sake ukuthi ungakhuba abazalwane, ube uzazi wena ukuthi ubani, uthi ungazenza ezinye for the sake ukuthi ungalimaza abazalwane, but know who you are. Ungagcina usuba umuntu oprethendayo onama personalities amaningi angazazi. Know yourself, discover yourself, know who you are, what you are about, what God has upon you, what's your purpose and all of that stuff. Then be able to okay, fine, because I have an understanding. See now what was shy bekunezinto eziningi oyiyekayo ugcina usuzuthi hayi kuyisono kanti no izinto oyiyeka so that ngingazokhuba abazalwane, so that
but akuyisono in reality
it's not sin, so that ivangeli ngishumayelayo lizokwamukeleka, you know, all of this. So you need to identify such things, know your story, be clear, and then let the Spirit lead you in your life.
Mama, how can you emphasize, and I love it when you say find yourself, your true identity. How can you emphasize the importance of knowing who you are? Not just as as a born again Christian, the importance of we live in it's an open world, man. I cannot express ukuthi that ungangifundisa lokho but ngizovula uShop ngitshela kuyo Facebook ngitshela kunye uyabo, and there's so much. But if you know who you are much more effective in whatever that you do. The importance yokuzazi.
Yeah, it is very, very, very important to find yourself uzazi and understand wena ukuthi ubani. And ngoba lokho kuzokusiza ukuthi ungabi nama multiple personalities. If umentorisha Mam Zuma namhlanje, then uzoba umini Mam Zuma, then uhambe umuvele kwenye province umentorisha uMam Khumalo, uzoba umini Mam Khumalo, uphinde umentorisha ube umini Mamba. You need to find yourself, you need to be you. As much as you can look up to other people, bekhona okuxoshayo, but awakhele kwi foundation yakho uwe. Wena, who are you? Because uNkulunkulu mayezokusebenzisa ufuna ukusebenzisa wena, we will use your identity. I said this to one of my sisters, obeyangicela ukuthi ngimnethoje, ngiyabuza ukuthi ufuna ini exactly, and uyabona ukuthi she is one of nje umama umfundisi but esamncane nje, yabona umama umfundisi laba angizothi bayasileya nje abaglamorous teenager uyabona nje manje ufika nje sarara lapho sengizoba umama lapho mina ngizoba umfica khona ngizobe ngithwele or ngijukulile or what. Manje ngiyambona useprepared ukuthi nje uzoshiya lokho kuye ashukule ekhanda fane nami. Ngithi no, I can mentor you, I can help you to find yourself, but you need to find yourself because your calling is in you finding yourself and finding your identity. Your audience, uNkulunkulu besibiza sonke mina ne-audience yami ezwami, kodwa kune-audience engakwazi ukufinyelela kuyo. Mhlawumbe abanye bangichamuka baba intimidated, babebona nje lo plain Jane kamama uthi bathi hayi angikwazi ukufinyelela khona. Yithi kune audience yakho edinga ukubona ukuthi uyakwazi ukuba glamorous, ufake inzipho, ufake lipstick ebomvu, ufake eyeliner and still be born again and still be used by God powerfully. So don't change yourself ngoba mawuzishintsha upenda isithombe sokuthi mawuglamorous awukwazi ukusetshenziswa uNkulunkulu. Manga ufake inwele namaziko then awukwazi ukuthi uNkulunkulu. Be you and uNkulunkulu akusebenzise kuwe because there is an audience that is waiting for you. Ingane zethu zilinde wena. Asikwazi thina ukuzipenetrate because of indlela esingayo. I-audience yakho nawe ilinde.
That's so much wisdom. There is so much wisdom in that. Because I think that's a twist in the mentorship. Is that sometimes you are now expected to be like a mini you, and I don't think that's a whole purpose. My purpose about mentoring is that groom me to be the best version of myself, but with the certain principles that I can incorporate in it, but not to change altogether and be somebody else because I'm frustrated. I can really be frustrated. But Mama, before we can leave, what are the things that oyifundile evangelini? I like to ask this question most of the time that sindandozifundile evangelini later officing us very I just wish someone would have told me this earlier in the calling. I would have maneuvered some of the battles where some of the challenges I come across effectively or better.
I wouldn't say it would have helped me to maneuver certain challenges, but it would have helped me to ministry. When I look at as a result I'm never embarrassed to watch or listen to my early teachings or sermons. So the thing is, with ukulela enkonzweni ebandleni that is big as the AOG, sometimes ukula with a mentality of okay, abasanginethi bakhulunywe ngebandla nabantu abasebenzile ukukhulunywa ngathi, bakhulunywa ngeyimiso zevangeli, kukhulunywa ngayo into eyenziwayo ekhaya. Abanye nje ngiyababona abanye bayazama kodwa okwayikhali kona. So I learned
I don't want to comment on that. I just want to say a thing about that one.
So I learned quite late. I don't want to say late, but later on, that salvation is very diverse. Salvation is not uniform.
Very much.
You cannot say ukusindiswa, let's say ukusindiswa ungafaka inwele, ungafaka amazipho, ungafaka amabhulukwe, ungathi. Salvation is very diverse, and then God will call you and ngobizo lakho akwenze wena ube nje, enze omunye abe nje, kube khona izinto ongazenzi wena but mina ngikwazi ukuzenza. Because as much as umonjo lathi ungazenzi ayingazisona, it's because ijoni yakho ayifanele ihambise lapho. So I learned that a bit late, and then I always look back and see there were relationships that were not supposed to be okwangafanele ukuthi apheliswa in lack of that understanding. So I wish I had known it earlier in life, and I had been able also to embrace it earlier in my saved life, because there's a lot of relationships there.
You know, reminding me, like letting me, one particular day last year, and I asked my younger sister, because I can feel what even though but I think those people are speaking the same language. And to know but I coming young and sometimes anything. Right? That was what I was reading. I'm having my earrings on, and you know that so I just come to know that I'm going for Sela Gashana. Yeah, right. Like it's a real. It's like honestly, born again Christian, purely serving Christ. I can feel the atmosphere. It's spirit led, yeah, again. So when I feel the atmosphere change, right? And but like I can feel good. I think couldn't be cast. And I think the mood of cast is basically me. One, I'm shukulile, but shukule bong abantu banana. Two, ngifaka ama earrings. Three, ngigqoke ingubo black. I was standing there, I'm like, look at the things that limit us. Exactly. Could not even wait to find out ukuthi ngubani, but just by their appearance, I did not qualify to be part of them. And I was sitting there, I was standing, I was like, Ngosi, because Ngosi, in the last days in the church, can you give us the knowledge to accept and understand? Ukuthi imfundiso is not lento efundiswa ekhaya kuphela. Nenye into efundiswa kwenye indawo sengayo nguye umuntu umzalwane osindisiwe. And because I have a problem, and they did not have chairs. So, and they were probably not going to sit down any minute. So I'm there at probably like 30 to 45 minutes. I'm like, you know what? And I also don't feel like I'm like welcomed. And I took his and I felt, after that, they were praising God. It demonly harmed me. And I'm like, look at the limitations. Yeah. Look at the things that if you are not, if you are shukulile, then that means you are not part of us. And I was truly part of them. And I don't even go there. And I wish could they have embraced me, I would have part of Kongaitani prayer. I could have been part of Leah prayer because I don't even have to quail and get on. And it's very young man, not only my because can we come to a point where we understand it's not just a man there's umzimba kaKristu mingi kakhulu.
And imagine this is the first time before abakwazi lutho ngawe whether usindisiwe. What if
they know nothing?
They don't know nothing to receive something from them. They know nothing. To open up and give you that space. Mhlambe mawuza in the future uzobusuno so okay others and
I wish I would have known. But I thought and I thought I know bayathanda. If I had known because they tell me pay respect. I don't like when yabantu, especially in Ibaz. I don't like any size. If ever I don't, I won't see you again. Because I find in Jamaica, I put whatever that they put. That does not change me. But I to respect them and when I buy inside. But the way they received me was very first time was very the atmosphere. And no one want to know. You know what? I'll vote to go man. Like you cast over that. You. Honestly, you think I'm one of the devil worshippers that's to me where who's on distracted will play again. It's tough.
It's gross. But yeah, that's one of the things I always look at. I wish I had known this one earlier. Certain things,
you would have maintained a lot of relationships.
And also some of my early teachings. Because I always go because my LC, I find that they lacked in grace. They lacked in grace a lot of time.
This could have been better. This could have gone somewhere.
Yeah, and then when the Lord teaches you, we see preaching is not about making a name for yourself. It's not about ukwenza ibandla lakho libe nini, but it's about reaching souls because God is about souls. Ngisho ngahlangana nomuntu iphara, ngisho ngahlangana nomuntu ophuza utshwala, ngisho ngahlangana nosisi odayisa umzimba, God is worried about that person's soul. And that is his business, reaching souls. So we have made it in our preaching and teaching the word business. We have made it where you're popular and all of this stuff. But God is worried about souls. And in order for us to win souls, we need understanding. We need to have the grace and the love of God. that's the attitude that you must have when you ascend the pulpit. That's the attitude to have. You must hlangana nomuntu emgaqweni.
Oh, lastly, Mommy, how do you stay grounded? You are married to Mam Zuma. Mam Zuma is like quite well known. You are well known as well. Unfortunately, if you think you are not, you are. But how do you stay as humble as possible, regardless of you being called in several places to be the guest and whatnot? How do you lower yourself and be like, guys, above all these other heads, no Zalwani?
I don't even know how to answer that one. I would say just it's God. God has His ways of humbling me. In fact, like you were saying, if you didn't know, I have never gotten to a point when I've said, wow, I'm popular. No, let me say it hasn't clicked. It hasn't really clicked on me. And also, the one thing that I love about God is that listening to Him and being led by Him, He always finds ways of keeping me humble. God always finds ways of keeping me humble. Even when Shumayela is over Konaliti, and I always I embrace this. Oh, this is God's way of keeping me humble. Because whenever I get in Shumayela or something, I always think so we are giving them instead of listening we are talking. So we are giving them that's how we.
I want them to
and then so
was that necessary?
How we. So God has His ways of just keeping me.
I remember I couldn't get your number, right? I asked me, Mama sent her and you say I need a number of Mam Zuma and stuff. She's like, wow, Mam Zuma never could have. Come on, what is up to that? It's even as I contact all of those people that I organize all Mama's conference, but Mama, you can get something. I don't want to lie. I don't think I know anyone who's closely who can have a number of Mam Zuma name. And when I'm going to work, it was my I was just closing all the files at 17. And I said to my mom, WhatsApp, Facebook. Hey, give it like I remember I had you on my previous Facebook, lower block. Mam Zuma. Okay. I can't get about you're tall in the bed, man, it's okay now. Anyway, I'm going to do the thing at Facebook. I'm going to post that recent. But you send every inbox, and when I'm sending an inbox, I'm like, hi, mommy, I'm just testing. You know what we are leaning, but we ask it's not going to happen. You send a belly message. Literally, I always say to my sisters, it was within a space of a minute. I got to send a message in our tattoo key. Is occupying a tattoo squam. You put my young vala, then you want to pop up the inbox. I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm doing the Facebook thing. I'm like, well, you know. And then when excuse I tried. But the way you were quick and responding, I'm like, God means business with this. I don't know about 3-4 weeks. But thanks, Mama, for coming through. Like, thank you so much for coming through. Lastly, I'm feeling that in Shumahira, but from Shumahira, is betting Vala. I could put out of Vala. Yeah, Vala guys, like literally, I'm closing now. What can you say to us, young people, that are in the ministry? And I think one of the elements that I think I like about you is the fact that which you both are called, your husband and yourself, but you guys are still submitting. You all are still under the leadership of the assemblies of God. It would have been very easy for us with my husband. I'm like, Donna, so we calling what, and but you still stayed there and submitted. Can you? Because that's the element we don't have. Can you speak to us in our generation? What can you say to us?
What I can say, kunamazwi engiwathandayo that are spoken by King David uma esezohamba emhlabeni and eseshiyela uSolomon, and God had chosen uSolomon kube uye who builds the temple, and David couldn't build the temple. Uti David, Solomon, my son, take this seriously, that God has chosen you to be the king and to build his temple. God has chosen you. Take it seriously. And seek the God of your fathers and know him intimately. So as young people, that I like this verse a lot. You are the next. Must feel that that is as good as Mama Badal. Singers who say that will be the next Mama Badal. I'm trying to Mama Badal. So as Nani Narcissistic time is going, you are going to be the next leaders, the next teachers, the next preachers, the next Mama Bumtandas, all of that. This is the time for you to seek the Lord, know the God of your forefathers, know him intimately. Siphume kwazini uNkulunkulu webandla, uNkulunkulu we-AOG, uNkulunkulu we-AFM, know God personally, and umazi uNkulunkulu ehamba nawe. And when you know God and you walk with him, He reveals his heart to you. Have the heart of God. That's the one thing that helps in ministry. When you are after God's own heart in ministry, God takes you through izinto obungazange ucabange ukuthi uNkulunkulu angafundisa kuzo, because he knows that you are doing it for him, not for fame, not for popularity, not for money, but for him. And then in the end, as much as you're not doing it for money, he will always provide, because he sees the purity, the genuineness of your heart. So know God, follow him, and there are going to be obstacles, challenges, doubt but like I said, find your identity, find yourself, find your purpose, find your calling, then that's the only thing that will keep you going. If you haven't found your purpose, if you haven't found your identity in God, then but as a young person, try to seek the Lord. I was before, was his music, was a pulpit, was in no God. Yes, find your identity in God, so that ungazoshintshwa abanye abantu. Yazi uNkulunkulu ufune yena, uthande yena, and then uzokwazi ukuthi akhule nawe, akufake la, akuselapha, akuvalele ngapha, akufanele ngapha. And into as young people, we always under the pressure ukuthi abantu abadala bayasivalela. Seek the Lord. God is going to do things. I always, as a woman, as a teacher of the word who is a woman, I always go back to Deborah. She became a judge for Israel. A judge is a political leader. Yeah. She was a political leader for Israel during a time when women had no voice. Literally no women were nobody. They were no one. Literally nobody. And then she led the whole nation. They were Israel as a judge. She even when the authority person who's way. Deborah. So as long as you avail yourself to God, leave everything else to him. You don't need to fight mama. You don't need to fight baba. You don't need to fight anyone. When you are led by God, always let us seek him and avail ourselves to him with Lord, whatever you want to do, I am here. Do it. That's not my business. That's your business. But I am available. I'm here. Yeah, that's the one thing I can say to you. And more than anything, I am passionate about a young person who lives a pure life, who dedicates his or her life to the gospel. Phila ngendlela that is a credit to evangeli. Noma ngabe kuthiwe uklama nobuyini, kodwa because kusasa nizobe emaninzi abantu bedoubt bethi kodwa abese bedoubt bese bethi bafuna ukuthi yes, there's nothing esingayibeka sithi wenze ukuthi wenze. Pila Ivangeli and avail yourself to God, and God is going to do things.
I'm sorry, I'm sounding very weird, but I'm not. You are thinking now. You're talking, and I'm thinking one last thing. Or would say one of the things that they're calling a bit tough and difficult now is provision. That's the skeptical part about it. Honestly, that's not really my package. I'm just praying to God that I don't become part of fathers. And even though maybe you haven't witnessed it into that depth, but if ever you say, when we got married, Obaba was in a probation of 2,000, but still a breadwinner. How did you see God providing for you?
God provides. The one thing about God is that when you are busy fighting for yourself, you are good. But when you are truly relying on Him, because this is what we have nothing else. So God will find ways of providing for us as a family. Sometimes He would expand even emails now. Like I said, we had 1,000. Like singers, this was a puzzle to us. How did we manage? Yes, now we have 2 salaries, we have some extra income, how did we manage on this stuff? And we don't have an answer to it. God just made sure we are expander. I think it was Elijah mefika kumfelokazi sicala ngami and Twami semnikile impupha ayiphelanga amafutha awaphelanga. That's a miracle that I have lived. We have lived that miracle. Because asazi ukuthi yayinela kanjani le-1,000. Sometimes uNkulunkulu kukhona lokuthi uNkulunkulu uzothi umzalwane afika anikeze imali mhlawumbe uma nixhawulana emva kwenkonzo afike kunika. Sometimes uNkulunkulu uzobe engayenzi lokho kodwa bese sizobe singasweli yonke into ekumele yenziwe ngemali izobe yenzeka iphelele. Ukuthi how, I don't know, it's God. So that's where I learned ukuthi that is why even in my preaching, whenever I go mangicela ngizokhuluma whether ngizokhuluma or in social mind, I don't charge because I know that my provision is in God. And this is not a business, this is not a bread for me. I'm still breadwinner, I'm just a servant. So I don't charge for my sermons because like who am I to rate sermon is worth what, 10,000? You know, where did I get this sermon from? I'm just a servant of the Lord, and then God will provide. God is the one who wins the bread for me. One is to do His bidding, and then He will see what He His school fees is and everything. We are fully at His mercy.
Thanks, Mommy. I truly appreciate. I honestly do appreciate. I know it's busy. I couldn't get you for some time, but I truly appreciate that eventually I've learned a lot. Sometimes I learn a lot when I'm sitting here with you, but when I go and eat it, that's where I pause sometimes and and I fail. That's the other just 0 ongenayo ngisho no 0.1. I still need you to help me out to be a better person, but I'm humbled and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you came.
I'm also honored to see when God and we abandoned. Like I said, it hasn't clicked. I don't see myself as one of those, but I'm really humbled and honored when God revealed people one day.
Mama, why didn't you say no? Because I would pray so hard at the beginning of the year. When people do give me that rejection, I think because my mind, I'm in it. But at the beginning of the year, the first thing I was praying was like, but what made you not to say? That's what I remember when you come from yourself, you do the scrutinizing over the year. Like, you guys, you do that scary.
Yes. I don't know, honestly, I don't know, because usually what I would say, even if Inges would say no, I would say no, but this time, one thing about me is that I'm seeing my beginnings. when God says it's okay, it's your mind, then it's okay. Then I don't have to dramatize it. It's also feel important. No, if God says, if it says in my spirit, okay, then it's okay.
That seals it.
Yeah, then that's it. There's one thing we used to laugh about. There were these gimmicks that Mama used to so most girls and then kuso banana competition ukuthi udlulise awubuda banake emission yeah so namang so shada ubusudlulisa bangaki before uvuma bakuzonzweni ngibadluliselani azange ngidlulisa wafika ubevuma umonjolo wathi uyena so sengizomdlulisa for the sake of udlulisa kuse nami ngizobala kuse ngidlulise bani ngisemuntu omegame if God says this is the one I don't need to lo ngithelo wathandaza iminyaka ewu6 emfuna ngisaya like
it sounds like a powerful testimony, right? It sounds like a powerful
if God said okay, the only thing we want is just
God approve it or
then why is the drama again?
Just first from the first told stuff that I'm going to tell just like that.
Yeah, no. Well,
I know.
No, so it says I'm going to share as it is in the and that's another great system.
That's another sermon for another day. I truly appreciate.